Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight in support of Project Healthy Minds, our partners at Archwell Foundation, and the true leaders in mental health access.
As I see in you, the present and the future. And I reiterate that point because oftentimes we speak to young adults about the years ahead, about what you'll do, what you'll have to adopt to fix from previous generations.
The once beloved Duchess of Sussex. Oh, if only people knew how hard she worked to paint that flawless picture of herself. The perfect smile, the perfect wife, the perfect mother. Every frame of her public life calculated like a scene straight out of Hollywood. But the real question lurking behind that polished facade is simple. How long before those cracks finally burst open for the world to see? For years, Meghan Markle has convinced millions that she's this gentle, selfless heroine. Pure enough for the royal family, relatable enough for the public, glamorous enough for Hollywood. Yet behind those palace walls and closed doors, with accusations of bullying, rumors of procedures, whispers of a temper, the illusion could only hold for so long before reality crept in. And then suddenly, as if fate wanted to add gasoline to an already flaming narrative, another storm blew in, a storm so big, so loud, and so scandalous, it swallowed Hollywood, politics, royalty, everyone. You couldn't escape hearing about it unless you were literally living under a rock, the Epstein case. A saga dripping with money, power, sex, secrets, and horror, wrapped in luxury and darkness at the same time.
Epstein, multimillionaire, hedge fund manager, businessman with famous, powerful friends, and also convicted sex offender. Just weeks ago, court documents pertaining to his sex trafficking case were unsealed by a new.
And now, unbelievably, that colossal scandal has somehow tangled itself into Meghan Markle's orbit, Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire whose life looked like every social climber's fantasy. Yachts, mansions, elites on speed dial. He charmed celebrities, political figures, even members of the royal family, but behind that glamorous mask, he hid a monstrous secret that only a handful knew before it exploded into the world's biggest nightmare. His glittering lifestyle, nothing but camouflage for one of the most twisted trafficking rings ever exposed. Every luxury was a distraction, every party a cover-up, every connection a shield on his private island, the one everyone now calls Pedophile Island.
An island over a mile away from St. Thomas, the main island. And it's out there and it's isolated. He purchases that, right? Then he owns the...
Epstein and his partner in crime, Ghislaine Maxwell, ran an operation so vile that even hardened investigators were shaken. They lured underage girls, manipulated them, destroyed them. And the world? The world was stunned because Epstein never appeared like a monster. He presented himself as a brilliant businessman managing the wealth of the wealthy, rubbing shoulders with the top 1%. What a lie that turned out to be. For years, whispers followed him like a shadow. Allegations floated through powerful rooms, but nothing stuck. Until finally, in 2008, he was arrested. That should have been the end. But instead, he received what many still call the sweetheart deal of the century.
Solicited a minor for prostitution.
I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
Somehow, his lawyers had worked out a deal with the U.S. Attorney's Office.
It was more evidence of the fact he was powerful and he could fix what everything came up.
This case was one of the worst failures of the
13 months for crimes that should have locked him away for life. Yet even then, Epstein didn't disappear. His influence was too deep, his connections too strong. People like Prince Andrew still stayed close. Prince Andrew and Epstein. The pair were seen together everywhere. Parties, events, lavish gatherings dripping with privilege, photos, sightings, quiet whispers, you name it. And then came the infamous moment. Their stroll through Central Park in December 2010. Casual, comfortable, like nothing in the world was wrong. Despite everyone already knowing Epstein was a convicted sex offender. And then, boom, the real bomb dropped. A photo, now iconic for all the wrong reasons, showing Andrew with his arm around a young girl, Virginia Giuffre. She was only 17. Her claims shook the palace, the public, the world. Yet Andrew denied it all in the most unbelievable ways. He said he couldn't sweat, literally couldn't sweat. So her description must be wrong. He claimed he didn't remember meeting her.
Convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. We know Prince Andrew got to know Jeffrey Epstein in 1999. We know that he saw him
And then came 2019 when Epstein was arrested again on federal charges. This time the walls were closing in. But before the truth could fully unravel, Epstein was found dead in his cell. To some it was a tragic ending. To others it was a conspiracy waiting to be solved. And with Epstein gone, the spotlight swiveled violently toward Prince Andrew. Then came Andrew's disastrous BBC interview. An interview so painfully tone-deaf that newspapers called it catastrophic. Overnight his reputation collapsed. He stepped away away from royal duties, then the lawsuit, then the settlement, millions paid out, no admission of guilt, but acknowledgement of Virginia's suffering, and then finally, in 2025, King Charles stripped him of everything. Prince, Duke of York, Earl of Inverness, every title gone, even his Windsor mansion taken away, and just when the world thought the Epstein-Maxwell scandal had reached its peak, Ghislaine Maxwell created another earthquake, this time from inside a prison cell, and this is where Meghan Markle's name shockingly crashes into the story. Even behind bars, Ghislaine Maxwell hasn't stopped talking. If anything, prison has made her louder, bitter, reckless. She's dragging anyone and everyone into the mess, almost as if she wants the whole world to burn with her. And oddly, disturbingly, she seems determined to pull another royal name into the fire, Meghan Markle. For years, Maxwell lived as the elite of the elite. She was raised in luxury as the daughter of publishing titan Robert Maxwell. Adored by some, feared by many. Her father gave her power, wealth, access, titles, and a position at Oxford United Football Club like it was candy. She was a New York-London socialite with connections to Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, celebrities, and high-profile figures everywhere she went. Her world was privilege on steroids. Yet behind all that shimmer was a childhood that had its own tragedies. A brother in a coma shortly after she was born, his death on her 10th birthday, and a father whose love was more possessive than affectionate. But when her father mysteriously died on his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, everything spiraled. The apparent suicide in the Canary Islands triggered a chain of events that pushed her deeper into Epstein's world, deeper into darkness. Soon, she wasn't just by Epstein's side. She was accused of recruiting teenage girls, grooming them, coercing them into Epstein's sick demands. Some victims were as young as 14. She would befriend them, pretend to care, lure them in with promises, and then allegedly coach them into satisfying Epstein's preferences. The verdict eventually came, guilty on nearly every charge. The world watched as the once powerful socialite was sentenced to 20 years in prison, a fall that felt almost Shakespearean, from penthouses and private jets to concrete walls and prison-issued slippers. And yet, even in a cell, she didn't shut up in 2025 when she was moved from a Florida women's prison to a lower security facility in Texas. Her voice only grew stronger. It was like she knew she had nothing left to lose, and this is exactly where Meghan Markle unexpectedly slips into the narrative. Maxwell allegedly name-dropped Meghan, hinted at knowing parts of her life before the spotlight, hinted at a version of Meghan the world wasn't meant to see. Meghan, the Duchess who has carefully constructed a brand of empowerment, philanthropy, inspirational quotes, podcasts, positivity, authenticity, and of course, raspberry jam that isn't even technically jam according to critics. A spread under FDA rules, which many mocked as another Meghan rebrand gone wrong. But while Meghan was out there presenting herself as the strong, independent woman who fought her way up from a struggling actress to a royal figure, Maxwell was reportedly insinuating something far darker, that Meghan's pre-royal life wasn't as innocent or glamorous as she makes it seem, that somewhere hidden between the scripts, auditions, and celebrity circles, there was a side of Meghan she kept buried, a side Maxwell claims to know something about, and here's where things get messy, shockingly messy, because Maxwell didn't just claim vague knowledge. She allegedly mentioned a document, a CV of all things, suggesting Meghan may know more about the Epstein-Maxwell orbit than she has ever let on. For some people, it wasn't enough to accuse Meghan directly, but the insinuation alone was explosive, especially since James Holt and others around Meghan have always painted her as Meghan the philanthropist, Meghan the heroine, Meghan the modern icon. And here's the kicker. Maxwell also allegedly claimed Meghan had been close to Prince Andrew in years past, that she was familiar with Virginia Giuffre, that she had seen more than she publicly admits, and that Meghan wasn't just an outside observer, but someone who had a closer view of the Epstein circle during Andrew's involvement. Meanwhile, Meghan was simultaneously telling the world about her female founder interviews, her storytelling, her ambitions, her rise. All of this, every speech, every Netflix special, every carefully crafted public moment was designed to reinforce her image as a woman of authenticity and empowerment. But Maxwell's words, true or not, cast a long shadow. They raised questions. They reignited doubts. They created the kind of tension Meghan absolutely hates, the kind that she can't control. From the outside, Meghan has always looked like the one holding the steering wheel of her own narrative. She releases the documentaries, the interviews, the podcasts, the speeches. She chooses what the world sees and what it doesn't. She shapes the headlines, sometimes even before her critics can speak. But ever since Maxwell name-dropped her, Meghan has gone silent. No statement, no correction, no cryptic motivational quote, no sit-down interview to set the record straight. Nothing. And for someone like Meghan, that silence is deafening because Meghan never stays silent. She fires back. She clarifies. She counters, she claps back. That's her entire brand. So now people are asking themselves, why is this the one scandal she hasn't addressed? Why isn't she rushing to shut it down? Why isn't she separating herself from Maxwell's claims immediately? They say there's no smoke without fire. So naturally, the world is wondering, is Meghan staying quiet because she's innocent, or because she's terrified the truth might slip out if she opens her mouth? Because Meghan's silence has become the loudest part of this entire scandal. Everyone expected her to jump forward with one of her perfectly crafted statements, the kind that sound polished, emotional, and rehearsed to absolute perfection. Yet nothing. Not a whisper. Not a peep. And that silence has fueled even more questions, more suspicion, more late-night debates across social media and tabloids. If Meghan truly had no link, no knowledge, no connection whatsoever, why wouldn't she instantly shut it down like she always does? Her supporters argue she's staying quiet because she refuses to dignify Maxwell's claims. They say it's beneath her. They insist it's just another smear campaign, another attempt to tear down the Duchess who rebuilt her life from scratch after escaping the royal machine. They paint her as a victim, a woman constantly under attack, a mother who deserves peace. But her critics? Oh, they're having a field day to them. Maxwell's words are simply another puzzle piece falling into place. They believe Meghan's perfectly curated public persona has always been too polished, too controlled, too magically flawless to be entirely genuine. And now, with Maxwell naming her, even subtly, it feels like the first real crack in Meghan's carefully painted image. And the irony? Meghan, who loves controlling the narrative more than anything, might now be watching her own narrative slip out of her hands because Maxwell is unpredictable, dangerous, and she's proven she has no issue dragging powerful names down with her. Meghan may not have expected her name to ever surface in this dark, twisted saga. But here it is, glowing under the harshest spotlight imaginable. And that leaves the world asking, what now? Does Meghan finally break her silence? Does she release a statement? A documentary? A teary interview? Or does she keep quiet, hoping the story dies before it grows any bigger? One thing the royal world has taught us is that secrets never stay buried. They leak, they spread, they explode. And whether Meghan Markle is the victim of yet another smear campaign, or whether Ghislaine Maxwell has just exposed a hidden chapter of her past, only time will reveal which version of the truth survives.